What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Exhaust Node. Y'all know me. I'm your host, Wiley Coyote, and today I've got something special for you. Today, we're going to take a look at a 2021 Audi Q8. Our Audi Q5 is in for service, and they gave us this Q8 as a loaner. So I thought it might be kind of fun to take a look at the car, let you know what I think, do some driving impressions, take a look at the room, engine, electronics, all that kind of stuff, and give you a little review. So let's get started. All right, go for it. Before I go too far on this review, I do want to thank my sponsors, Burning Shed Brewery. They are a fantastic group of guys. They got some really, really delicious beers. They're coming out with some good stuff. So check them out on Twitter at Burning Shed. They've got some really, really fantastic stuff. I do think this car has some nice lines on it too. I mean, really the way that, you've got some of the, some changes in contours there. You've got some nice, 20-inch rims there. I do really think it looks nice from the front. I do like the front headlights here, the way that they look. They are LED certainly, so I really think that looks good. I also like the rims down here. I do think that these rims look really, really nice, and I think that they're set up very well. I'm a 5-spoke rim guy, so I think that actually these are set quite nicely. One of the things I don't love is the back hatch, and we'll take a look at that. I think that the lines of the car are very nice. But I think one of the problems that you run into here is, look at that hatch. It's very sloped, and so I think the problem is that you run into issues with cargo space back here. I don't think that you would be able to carry a whole lot because I think that this very much is slanted. The Q7 I think is, a bit boxier, and so I think you can carry more in there. I know that that's designed maybe for a different crowd, but to me, the way that this is slanted, I feel like you miss some cargo space, and that's something that I think a lot of people really probably want. This does have a 335 horsepower motor. It's got 370 foot-pounds of torque. And it's actually quite a lot of fun to drive. There's a decent amount of pickup to it. When you put it in sport mode, you can actually get moving. The driving position I think is pretty good. You're lower to the ground. I think it's more of a car drive feel. The seats do certainly have some bolstering, and of course, like most cars, you can, adjust down here. But again, I don't think it's necessarily any sort of a sport vehicle. And I think the way the seat back is set up here, it's pretty wide. So, it's not it doesn't really hold you in all that much. I wouldn't do a lot of high speed maneuvers in it, certainly. But, I think the seats look okay. It's not as sporty to me as I would normally like. It's an interesting in-between setup. All right, so inside in the driver's position here, you can see I've got a lot of steering wheel controls as usual. I also have a nice information system behind here. All of the gauges except for your engine temperature and your gasoline are digital. You can change what the screen in the front shows, from the map to phone, to music if you want. So it really gives you a good amount of information. Your infotainment system here, I'll call it, is generally all digital, which I think could be a good thing, just because without having to have a lot of gauges, Audi allows you to change, your seat heating to your fan speed. I do think that one of the negatives about this, though, is that if the screen breaks, you can't access any of this stuff. So to me, that's kind of an issue. It does have push button start. This does allow you to change your drive modes here, turn your traction control on and off. You do have a big touchscreen up here. This comes with wireless Apple CarPlay, which is really nice. This includes all of Audi's information here. You can get information about the vehicle. You can go into CarPlay, all of their usual MMI system. So it gives you a huge amount of information in these two big screens. These are like almost iPad mini sized screens. All of the buttons are really big. The system is also very responsive, which I like. As soon as you hit something, it immediately goes to whatever that might be, whether you're changing the song, the station, trying to make a phone call, very quickly changes You know, when the vehicle is off, it looks exactly like this gloss black here, which I actually really like. I think that looks excellent. But these two screens give you a huge amount of information. As I said, this comes with not only wireless Apple CarPlay, but also wireless charging. So you just put your phone right here on this mat, and it wirely charges it up, which is actually really kind of nice. It does, in addition, come with two USB-C plugs. So you can also plug in a phone or you know, anything else that you might want to charge via USB-C. So, you know, you can see Audi kind of moving in that particular direction, and a lot of others. Some of the older cars have a lot of USB-A, but this Q8 comes with USB-C, which I think is kind of nice. It's a faster data transfer, and it seems to be where a lot of manufacturers are going these days. There's not a huge amount of space in this armrest right here, but I think certainly enough to carry, you know, some change, put your phone, a couple other smaller things in here, but not a massive amount of space. In the back seat here, I think you have a huge amount of room, a lot of leg room, which is really nice. You also get a digital climate control system here, as well as two USB plugs down here on the bottom so that folks can plug in phones and things down here. So I'm in the back seat now, I'm sitting, and there actually is a really good amount of space for at least two adults, possibly three. That might be a little tight, but you can see here, you know, I'm behind the passenger side. I haven't moved the seat, but I actually have a decent amount of room to even sort of spread out back here. So I really do think that there would be more than enough room for two adults, possibly three, and certainly enough room, I think, for three kids back here. You know, you do also have your usual coat hooks and things up here. You do also have some climate control side vents here. So in all, there's a good amount of space back here. So this is a 2021 Audi Q8 S Line. These start mid-60s and run up into the 80s by the time you add on all of your options. These have about 335 horsepower, about 370 pounds of torque. So despite the fact that I don't think this is something that I would personally purchase, I do think that this does have a lot going for it. So one of the big things I think, as I've found today driving it around, is the driver comfort, the driver feel, right? This isn't an SUV, or at least it certainly doesn't feel that way. And so the ride is very soft. I mean, I can easily see, I've got it in comfort mode right now. I can easily see driving this for a very long period of time without getting uncomfortable. In comfort mode, it certainly soaks up the bumps. I did put it in sport or dynamic mode earlier, and I didn't notice a whole lot of difference in the suspension. But to me, I really do like the way that it feels. Again, in terms of suspension, in terms of soaking up the bumps and things like that, it's very comfortable. I do also think this has some benefits in terms of the technology. I spoke earlier about the technology package. I like the larger screens, which I think are really nice. The driver's aids, which I think are really nice. You know, I think this does have a lot of benefits to it. You know, you can fit 5 people, I think, very comfortably in here. You know, again, I think every car has some negatives, and I certainly think this has some. I think while I understand why Audi, you know, designed the back of it the way that they did, I think that it eats into your cargo space. And I think for me personally, and for some others who maybe, again, have some kids, you know, haul some stuff around quite often, go to the, you know, home improvement store, whatever it might be, I think you might miss some of that space in the trunk. I also think, again, for me, if I'm looking at an SUV, I want something that maybe sits up a little bit taller. I'm looking for something maybe a little bit boxier. This, to me, doesn't fit that bill. I think for what you're spending on this, I mean, it, you know, starting at 65, 70 grand, it's a lot of money to spend for, in my mind, to sort of have some of those compromises. All right, so my final thoughts on the Q8. Certainly, I'm glad I got a chance to drive it. It is a nice luxury vehicle for those that either, I don't think, need to carry a lot of space or a lot of people, but still want sort of the SUV feel. I think, you know, you with the way that the back hatch is set up, you're missing some cargo space. This is a 2-row SUV, so I think, especially if you've got 2 kids or more, I think you're going to be lacking on not only back seat space for them, but also additional cargo space in the back to carry bags and things like that. I can't speak to towing necessarily, but I think if you're really going to do some heavy duty towing, you probably want a Q7, or, you know, you might want to get yourself a truck. It is a fun car to drive, but to me, it just doesn't blow me away. And I think a lot of buyers will have that same experience. So again, I think it's an in-between sort of middle of the road SUV for those that are looking for a little bit more than like a sedan, but maybe not quite the boxy look, or feel of driving a big sort of big boaty SUV. But I think there are a lot of buyers that might be missing something with this. That certainly would be me. This is not something that I would be looking for. But tell me what you think. Have you driven a Q8? Do you like it? Do you think the market that they're going for makes some sense here, or do you think this car misses the mark? That's all I've got. Thank you guys again for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and we'll catch you next time on the Exhaust Note.